was something,
Canal?
might have been.
Canal was there, yeah. And then you remember that you had to go over there to pick up the freight and there was a mill there too, didn't you, to get grain and such?
Yes, I think so. They, our mail was taken off the railroad there.
Oh,
And we had a mailman that hauled it from Tadmore up to Vandalia.
and then did they also take it down to Spankertown here to that post office?
I think they did.
Okay, so about all you can tell me about Spankertown is that there was a wagon maker there that made Spanker wagons.
Yeah.
Well, there was a barber shop there, Mother, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Barber shop and the post office.
And a grocery store.
Grocery store.
I should remember that.
Yeah.
Who had the first grocery? Wasn't Seabold, was it?
Yes.
Was it? Old Henry Seabold.
Jeremiah Seabold
Jeremiah. And Henry was a,
Father,
was
Son.
his son,
Oh.
Jeremiah.
well,
So you, do you know anything about the village of Little York? That you could tell
No,
me?
I don't know very much
Okay.
about Little York. Only George Fair had a grocery there.
there's a Waymire laid that out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew Waymire.
Andrew Waymire.
Right, but what I'm trying to think is, do you recall where that store was located? What's there now? Where this Mr. Farrell, or whatever his name was,
George Fair.
George Fair?
Well, I think that building is still standing, isn't it,
I don't know which building it was.
John?
I don't know.
Was it north of the present bridge or south of the present bridge?
Where this building was? When you come across the bridge from Randolph Township, and the grocery was on the right, about a square from the river.
So that
Okay.
would be
To
south.
be on the southwest corner of that intersection then. Somebody told me there was a church in that area there too.
Yeah.
In that same building, I think,
Was it in the same building?
in later years.
Oh, in later years. Okay. I'd like to know where the German evangelical, no, the German Brethren Church was in Vandalia. What's there now? I'd like to know where it stood.
Vandalia.
Yeah. You remember of a church other than the United Brethren and the Lutheran Church? I'm told there was a German, maybe it was German Reformed, but there was a German church. It talked about a brick building.
Well, there was an old church east of the crossroads,
On the south side?
about, yes, about 3 squares, I would think,
So it would be almost,
from the crossing.
okay, it would be almost across from the New Society Bank. The New Society Bank, it would be south of the new bank in Vandalia.
Yes,
Very good.
That's
You're wonderful. You're wonderful. Because I wanted verification of that because somebody said the first time that they remembered anything, there was a garage on that site and it had been made out of an old church. So I got what I wanted to find
got
out.
the confirmation now.
Yeah. You getting pretty tired?
No, I'm not tired.
Okay.
You know, the odd thing on this map, it shows the church there at Pope, the one that, down here Spankertown, the one over at, on Peters Pike at the corner of the old Quaker church,
Yeah. A little bit.
and, one up there on the Furnace Road,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it does not show one in Vandalia at that date that this map was made.
The other?
No, there was bound to be some there though, because St. John's Lutheran celebrated their 125th just a few years ago.
Well,
So it
St.
had to
John's,
be, there had to be St. John's, and there had
St.
to
John's
be
and ours
United.
was one
Yeah.
at one time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it had to be UB. It had to be there too, United Brother.
Well, you knew that the church there at Spanker used to stand back at the old graveyard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just by on Old Church Road, which I wished Old
Yeah.
Church Road still went through. And I wished we could get some people back there. And I talked to McAllister, the trustee of Butler Township, and he says, well, if we had access to that cemetery, we would be glad to make a historical site out of it and take all of the old briars and brambles and trees out and try to restore the graveyard.
Well,
Now
well,
that
I
was what
wish
he
they
told me.
would.
Well, I do too. And
And I don't know where this woman was from, but she came, and some of her relatives, whether it was her parents, buried in that graveyard. And she took charcoal rubbings of all those stones,
mhm.
and I don't know who she
Okay.
was.
Who you got?
I wish I did.
I'll go with you. Mary's got a word just about done, aren't
Yeah,
we?
yeah. I was going to short.
That group of people.
Okay, you went to that? Well, now this was in Vandalia. This was in Vandalia.
This one was out on Peters Pike. In 40.
Well, this is the one that the city tore down just
No,
recently. This was in
that was in
Vandalia.
Vandalia.
Yeah, that was the first 8 graves.
Well, that looks like that.
You mean the one out on Peters looked like that? Similar to that too? That's good. That's what I want to know.
Yes, everything but this thing on top here, I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm, okay. This is the old GAR building that stood in Vandalia, right back of the senior citizens now.
Oh,
They have their parking lot there, and the Grand Army of the Republic built it, and it was used as a senior citizen center, as a city council chambers for a while. And John told me it was also, oh no, it was Bill Patty told me it was a voting place for some of the Butler Township people at one time.
yeah.
Now they've been torn down.
Oh,
This was the Nancy Hall house up on North Dixie
yes,
Drive.
I know where that was.
Okay, and Bill Patty said that was next door to his father's place. His father's place lay west of that.
Yes, I imagine so.
And this one's the ride now. You can't see it very well that they tore down. This is a picture from the barn looking toward the house before they tore it down.
Mhm.
Now this is on Kenbrook, which is the first street south of National Road. This is on the north side. And Dixie Drive is up here, and the old parsonage for the United Methodist Church, and then a double, and then this house. And then John Brussman lived here on the other side of the alley. And we were wondering something about that. Somebody said that Carl Borchers lived there at one time.
I don't know.
Don't know about it. Okay. If there's any pictures, well, of course, here's the old corner that you were talking about. The Vandalia Bank, the cafeteria. And this was the first grocery that you said you remember. And this is St. David's Church.
Yeah.
And this is the new Vandalia Bank. This is the Mary Parker house. Now, I don't know what it was known as. It's at North Perry Street, second house north of
North
St. David's.
Mary Parker.
Hmm. That's a recent name in Vandalia. She's not too old.
I don't see, I don't know the name. don't
Did you ever hear of the Henrietta House in Vandalia?
The old what?
Henrietta House?
Oh, mercy, yes.
All right, that's the way it looks today.
Oh,
Mac and Esther Cheney bought it, and they live on North Perry Street. They built a new house right north of it. Now, the only thing I can find out about it is that it was moved from down where St. David's Church is up to its location there on North Perry Street when they built the church.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mac and Esther purchased it in 1947, a lot and a half. And a lot of people say that that house had a porch all the way around it. See, now they closed in the front and the back porch and made a double house out of it. And some people think that there was a porch on all four sides. I don't know if
I don't believe so.
Okay, you don't believe so. All right, that's good to know. And let's see, Mac told me that the county had a bounty office in there. And the shed out behind, when he cleaned up the shed, he found 5 bags of crow's feet that had been turned in for bounty.
5 bags of what?
Crow's feet?
Crow's feet.
Yeah, they was shooting crows. They was paying bounty for crows. Well, that's what he
Well.
tells me. This is, if you're not too familiar with Vandalia, this is North Perry Street almost at the end on the east side. And somebody said that was Chester Cotterman.
Excuse me, would you be more comfortable at the dining room table?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. This is, oh, I can't think of his name. Atwood. Mrs. Atwood, and her son was
Howard Atwood.
Yeah, and her son lived here in this house, and I guess they both had lived in this house at one time, and then they built a new one. And we were wondering if that could be a log house.
I don't know.
This is the Ira Jackson farm up on Lightner and North Dixon.
Yeah.
And this one is in Merlin Heights on the west side across from where Cooper's Printery is now. It's, well, it's the only one between 70 and Little York. You recognize that? That's in Merlin Heights.
Well, I'm not familiar too.
Okay, well that's the old school.
Heights.
That's the old school. It's been
Oh, it
converted
is?
it's been converted into a dwelling.
Well,
This is not a good picture, but this is Harry Castle Farm out there that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Somebody said that Carl Borchers and Harry Borchers and Paul Borchers all had farmed at it one time.
I would think so. Their parents lived in the Castle Farm,
Okay.
farm buildings.
That building is at east of Frost Road on the south side of Old Springfield, and I'm told that it was the old Oliver Johnson farm.
Now, where's that?
That's east, it's on Old Springfield Road on the south side, just east of Castle Road. The north end of Castle Road.
That's the Oliver Johnson Farm.
That's what I've been told.
I think that's right.
Okay. And then I got a picture here
For a long while, Oliver Johnson and his sister Laura and his mother lived there together.
Okay. And this is Pine Grove Cemetery. I guess you know where Pine Grove School is, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, that's on the east side of I-75, back at Raines Trailer Sales. And they tell me that there's an old Revolutionary War soldier buried in there, but I don't know.
Well,
I have no proof of it. So I was hoping maybe you would know. This is right up the street here from you there. The Edith Littler Gray house.
oh, yes.
It was moved down from that was a toll house.
Yes.
Okay. This is the house directly across the street from you, and I'd have a better view of it if they hadn't had 2 big dogs in the front yard that day.
I don't think the dogs are there now.
And that's Spankertown, St. Paul.
Yes, the church there.
And this is Weisenborn's, Howard Weisenborn's, Deerwood
Yeah.
Farm. Now, would you know whether that ever belonged to a Hutchins?
Yes.
It did?
That's the old Hutchins place.
Okay, that confirmed what I got written down here. That's what I come out to see you for, confirmation. Now this is, I don't know, I can tell you where it is, but don't know who owns it. It's at the end of Meeker Road on the east side of Peters, where Meeker runs into Peters. It's a brick house, it's been added onto.
On the east side of Peters.
Yep, right at the end of Meeker Road. If you'd go right across Meeker Road, you'd run right into that house. Well, you'd like this much. Here's the telephone pole corner and here's the road. But it's just to the right, south side of Meeker, on the east side of Peters.
Well, I think I'd have to go down there and see it
Mm-hmm.
to have any idea of what it is.
Somebody said it might be Judge Crawford's place. But then somebody else tells me, no, they tore Judge Crawford's place down. It was further down. It was south of Meeker further.
Well, then I don't know.
Well, you're not the first one. Now this, if you were coming across the old Eagle Iron Bridge, north on Peters, you'd cross Frederick and start up Peters, and this would be on the left-hand side as you start up the hill. I talked to the woman that lives there, and she says it was an old schoolhouse. She took me inside, and she said there was a panel here that would slide, and she showed me how it slid. And it was a secret hiding place, she said, where the children and the teacher used to hide when there was Indians around.
Well, for goodness sakes.
I wondered if you knew anything about that, remembering a school at that location.
No, I don't. I remember there was a colored family lived right in that vicinity there.
Mm-hmm. This then is the old Antioch school that's been built into a residence, yes. I understand that was built about 1812 and is donated on George Sink's land.
But it's expensive, you know, so.
That's Antioch School Road. It's called the Old Spring Farm. There's a spring house out here and a pond. This is down at Meeker and Frederick and Dogwood. It's on Frederick, but it's there at that intersection where the triangle is, where Meeker and Frederick and Dogleg all cross. It's now the Robinson House. People live there by the name of Robinson. Built in 1822. Oak Grove Church.
Yeah?
Dora Class Brentling, her home on Frederick. Now, I'd like a confirmation of this. Maybe you know this. When she lived there, and she's the author of this book, Beside the Stillwater,
Yeah.
Dora had a daughter that became the first Miss Miami Valley. And I don't know whether she went on to the state Miss Ohio and to the Miss America contest or not. Do you remember anything about
No,
that?
I don't.
Okay. This is up on Frederick Pike. It is a log house, and the man has built completely around the log house, and you'd never know there was a log house hidden there.
Well,
This is the Furnace Road Cemetery, and I'm told that was Jesse Jackson's farm, on his farm.
I think so, yes.
Okay. That's a Wind Whistle. That's a gift shop, and it's on Furnace Road on the south side. They tell me that at one time a Mitchell lived there, and then later on a Vance. And this is the old Quaker cemetery down at Peters and Little York.
Yes.
And somebody said they thought that Hutchins, that owned Weisenborn's house, was buried there.
Could be.
This is Zugelder's, and that's on Little York, just about across from the fire station. I know nothing about that, whose farm it was early or what. This is Dan Stoner's house on Little Yard.
No?
This is now owned by Coker's. It used to be owned by Newsom's, and I don't know who originally built the house. It's at Cly Road and Antioch, where they intersect.
No, it's a brick house.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, this is the Eby property that stood just east of St. John's Lutheran Church, where the little bazaar used to be. You probably remember Mrs.
Yes.
Eby and the little bazaar. There's another picture of it.
Yeah.
And a little brown school.
I take one.
Yeah. And that's Taylorsville Dam and the spillway, which we can get information on that from the Conservancy. This house is at Frederick Road, just where Kinmont comes out onto Frederick, right south of the I-7. They have remodeled it. There's a white picket fence around it now, and it's owned by some man in Florida.
To see my show.
Well,
And this is north of the Buckhorn Tavern in the village of Little Yard. I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
It's brick, I know that.
Yeah, I watched that part of it.
And here's the one that I don't know anything about. It's on Meeker Road after you went through Little York and you're bending around the curve and just about to get to Frederick. It's on the north side of the road. Don't ring any bells.
At the very end.
You can't remember anything
you
about
have to
that.
go down there and
See it,
see it
yeah,
in
okay.
person.
Now this was the one I was talking about the Widows Walk down
Oh,
in
yes,
Kirshner.
Bess Boers.
Okay, now,
Bess Waymire, Boer, Cly.
okay. Now, that was the one where they said that down over the hill here, there's a big red barn on over here,
Yes.
and down here, there's a structure that they're renting as,
No?
and they said that was an old sawmill.
I know it is.
I don't remember the song of that.
Okay, that's all I want to know. If you don't remember it, I'm sure that,
Down, now from this house on down to the creek, there was a sawmill there.
yeah, now that was the one that was on your father's property, wasn't it?
Yes.
I thought it was. This house is on Cly Road, and I don't know anything about it. On the west side, has a big pond behind it.
I know where it is, but I don't know who it is.
This is now owned by Query, that used to be the principal,
Oh, yeah.
Your cake was
and that's on Martindale Road.
Did it have nuts in it too,
Yes.
didn't it?
Now, I told it was Enoch Patty's farm.
Could be. They, where he's bought that farm, or the house, or
What was wrong with your car?
was going to remodel it and so on. When they got into that, they found out it was gonna cost a lot of money, so
Did you say it was slipping?
they're just living there in the old house as it is, as it was, when they bought it.
Now this is on old, at the end of Old Springfield Road, you've gone west and you're making the jog out there by Miller's gravel pit and you come down toward Cly and then on over to Union. And I'm told that was used in the Underground Railroad during the Civil War to smuggle the slaves to Canada.
Well, they was right in that vicinity, that's what there was there. But I'd have to get in there to see it.
And this is the house behind Mrs. Noy's house on West Nashville Road where New Dogleg goes north.
Yes,
It's behind her house and they say it's a log house.
well, I would think so.
Okay. It's what we like to hear when you say, I would think so, because that confirms it. That's Calvin Carnes' barn. It's brick and lattice.
Yes, that's an old building.
And then my last picture, my 54th picture, I took these all about 2 years ago for the Historical Society. I forgot where I took that one. I think it's on Frost Road, at the top of the hill just before you move into Miami County. Before you cross the county line on the right-hand side. I think that's where it is. I don't know anything about it. Okay, now, anything else you'd like to tell me about the early days? Or do you want us to quit? You think we've had enough? I think we have, haven't we?
I wish you'd left me known before, so I'd had time to think.
Oh, well, don't worry about that. Sometimes the stuff you get when people don't have time to think about it's better than if they have time to think about it.
Well,
No, I think I think Butler Township is very interesting.
yes, I think so too. It's a good place to live.
I think so. Well, I won't take any more of your time, and I really appreciate you giving me your time.
Well, thank you. What do you call this machine?
Well, it's just a little cassette tape recorder.